Have you ever wondered what would happen if someone with everything gave it all up to find the one thing money can't buy? If this story touches your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to see more life-changing journeys like Alexander's. The polished marble floors of Meridian Financial gleamed under the soft glow of recessed lighting as Alexander Reed pushed his cleaning cart through the empty lobby. To anyone watching, he was just another night janitor, his designer stubble now a full beard, his once manicured hands rough from cleaning chemicals, and his tailored suits replaced by a gray uniform with "Alex" stitched above the pocket. No one would guess that the man scrubbing bathroom stalls owned the very building he cleaned, or that his net worth exceeded $8 billion. At 36, Alexander Reed had everything except the one thing his wealth couldn't secure: someone who loved him for himself, not his fortune. "Another late night, Alex?" Emma Chen called out as she emerged from her office, her dark hair pulled back in a practical bun, glasses perched on her nose. As the bank's night manager, she was one of the few employees who worked the same hours as the cleaning staff. Alexander straightened, feeling an unexpected flutter in his chest. "Just finishing up the executive floor," he replied, adopting the slight accent he'd cultivated for his disguise. Emma smiled, the kind of genuine smile that reached her eyes that never looked through him the way people usually did with service workers. "I saved you some cookies from the staff meeting. They're in the break room." "You didn't have to do that," Alexander said, genuinely touched by the small gesture. "Everyone deserves a little kindness," she replied simply before heading back to her office. Alexander watched her go, remembering how she'd started at Meridian as a teller 5 years ago, working her way up through sheer determination. He'd reviewed her file before starting this experiment: single, supporting her younger brother through college, consistently rated the most helpful manager by both customers and staff. What the file hadn't mentioned was her laugh that seemed to brighten the sterile bank halls, or how she remembered the names of every maintenance worker and security guard. 3 weeks into his charade, Alexander found himself looking forward to these brief interactions more than the board meetings and charity galas that had once filled his calendar. The idea had come to him after his last failed relationship, discovering his fiancée had a secret spreadsheet calculating the financial benefits of marrying him had been the final straw. His best friend and COO, Marcus, had called him insane when Alexander proposed temporarily disappearing from public life to work incognito in his newest acquisition. "You're going to clean toilets to find love? Have you lost your mind?" Marcus had demanded. "I'm going to find someone who sees me, not my bank account," Alexander had replied, already growing out his beard. Now, as he carefully vacuumed Emma's office while she worked late at her desk, he wondered if he'd found exactly what he was looking for. "You missed a spot," Emma teased, pointing to a corner with her pen. "Everyone's a critic," Alexander replied with a smile, maneuvering the vacuum where she'd indicated. "Sorry," she said, looking genuinely contrite. "That was rude of me." "No, I appreciate it. I want to do a good job." Emma tilted her head, studying him. "You know, you don't talk like most of the cleaning staff." Alexander froze momentarily. "I was a teacher back home. Before coming here." "Really? What did you teach?" "Economics," he answered truthfully, unable to help himself. "That explains why you were correcting the numbers on my spreadsheet last week when you thought I wasn't looking," she said with a knowing smile. Alexander felt his face grow warm. "I'm sorry about that. Old habits." "Don't be. You saved me hours of work finding that error." She hesitated, then asked, "Would you like to get coffee sometime? When you're not working, I mean." The question caught him off guard. In his real life, people rarely invited him anywhere. They waited for his invitations, his private jets, his exclusive access. "I'd like that," he said, his voice rougher than intended. Their coffee date turned into dinner the following week, where Emma told him about growing up in a small apartment with her brother after their parents died, about putting herself through night school while working full-time, about her dreams of someday running her own community credit union to help people like her family. Alexander found himself sharing more truth than fiction: his lonely childhood in boarding schools, his passion for economic development in underserved communities, his disillusionment with relationships based on wealth. He carefully omitted details that would reveal his true identity, but for the first time in years, he felt seen for who he was rather than what he owned. As weeks turned into months, their relationship deepened. They explored the city together on Emma's modest budget: street food instead of Michelin stars, public parks instead of private clubs, movie nights at her small apartment instead of his penthouse with its panoramic views. Alexander discovered joy in these simple pleasures that had been absent from his privileged existence. But as he fell deeper in love, the weight of his deception grew heavier. Each night, after leaving Emma, he returned to his luxury penthouse and stared at his reflection in the mirror, barely recognizing the man he'd become, or perhaps, the man he'd always been beneath the trappings of wealth. The breaking point came during the bank's quarterly review. As CEO, Alexander couldn't avoid making an appearance. He sat at the head of the boardroom table while department heads presented their reports, including Emma, who had no idea the man she'd kissed goodbye that morning as Alex the cleaner was now watching her presentation as Alexander Reed, Billionaire CEO. He saw the moment she recognized him, the widening of her eyes, the slight tremor in her hand as she pointed to the projection screen, the flush that crept up her neck. She finished her presentation professionally, but the hurt and confusion in her eyes cut him deeper than any business loss ever had. She was gone before he could catch her, taking a sudden personal day. His calls went unanswered. When he went to her apartment that evening, still in his expensive suit, she refused to open the door. "Emma, please," he called through the door. "Let me explain." "Explain what?" Her voice came back, thick with emotion. "That you lied about everything? That you were laughing at me this whole time?" "I never lied about who I am," he insisted. "Just what I do." "And my job performance reviews? Were those part of your game too?" "No. I recused myself from anything involving you. Marcus handled all your evaluations." The door opened a crack, revealing Emma's reddened eyes. "Why would you do this? Was it some billionaire's social experiment? See how the common people live?" Alexander swallowed hard. "I wanted someone to love me for me, not my money. Every relationship I've had has been about what I could provide, what doors I could open. With you, I was just Alex. And for the first time, that was enough. You could have told me the truth once you knew me." "I was afraid to lose you," he admitted. The longer it went on, the harder it became to find the right moment. Emma leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed protectively. "I don't even know who you are. I'm the same man who brings you coffee exactly how you like it. Who listens to your stories about your brother. Who holds you when you're stressed about work. The only difference is my last name and my bank account." "It's a pretty big difference, Alexander." The way she said his full name, like it belonged to a stranger, broke something inside him. "I know I've hurt you, and I'm sorry. I never meant for this to happen." "What did you think would happen?" she asked quietly. He had no answer. Emma sighed, the anger in her expression giving way to sadness. "I need time to think." Alexander nodded, respecting her boundaries even as his heart crumbled. "I understand. For what it's worth, these past months have been the most real of my life." He walked away that night, returning to his empty penthouse that no longer felt like home. Days passed with no word from Emma. Alexander threw himself into work, unable to focus, snapping at his executive team. Marcus finally confronted him in his office. "You need to fix this," his friend said bluntly. "You're miserable, and you're making everyone else miserable too." "She won't talk to me." "Then make her listen. You didn't build a financial empire by giving up at the first obstacle." Alexander considered this. "I can't force her to forgive me." "No, but you can show her who you really are, the man she fell in love with and the man I've known for 20 years. The same person, with or without the money. That night, Alexander returned to Meridian Financial after hours, dressed in his cleaner's uniform. He took his old cart and began methodically cleaning the lobby, then the offices, working his way toward Emma's floor. It was what he knew how to do now, honest work with his hands, the kind that left him tired but satisfied. He didn't expect to find Emma there, working late as usual. She looked up when he entered her office, surprise flickering across her face. "What are you doing?" she asked. "My job," he replied simply, beginning to empty her trash can. "You don't work here anymore." "Not as a cleaner, anyway." "Maybe not officially. But it's the only way I know how to talk to you now." He straightened, meeting her gaze. "I miss you, Emma. I miss us." She studied him, the uniform, the beard he hadn't bothered to trim, the hands that were still calloused from months of manual labor. "You're the CEO of a multinational bank. You could be anywhere in the world right now." "There's nowhere I'd rather be than here with you," he said quietly. "The money, the company, none of it means anything without someone to share it with. Someone real." Emma's expression softened slightly. "I'm still angry with you. You have every right to be. And hurt. I know. I hurt myself too, by not trusting you with the truth." She was quiet for a long moment. "I've been thinking about something you said when we first met. About wanting to do economic development in underserved communities." Alexander nodded, remembering the conversation. "It's always been my passion. Before I got caught up in building the business. I looked into your company's records. The community reinvestment programs, the microloans to small businesses in struggling neighborhoods, the financial literacy initiatives, those were all your projects, weren't they?" "Yes," he admitted. "Though I haven't been as hands-on as I'd like." Emma took a deep breath. "I have a proposal for you, Mr. Reed." "Alexander," he corrected gently. "Or Alex. Whichever you prefer. I think Meridian Financial should establish a community development division. One that focuses specifically on bringing banking services and financial education to underbanked neighborhoods." Alexander felt a spark of hope. "That's, actually a brilliant idea. And I think I should run it," she continued. "Not because I'm dating the CEO, if we even are still dating, but because I understand these communities. I've lived it." "You'd be perfect for it," he agreed, a smile tugging at his lips. "But are we still dating?" Emma stood up from her desk, moving closer to him. "That depends. Are you done pretending to be someone you're not?" "Completely done," he promised. "Though I might keep cleaning my own office. It's surprisingly therapeutic." A reluctant smile broke through her serious expression. "I'm still processing all of this. It's not every day you find out your boyfriend is actually your boss's boss's boss." "Take all the time you need," Alexander said. "I'll wait. And in the meantime, we can work on your community banking proposal." "Professionally." "Professionally," she agreed, but there was warmth returning to her eyes. 6 months later, Emma's community banking initiative had opened its first branch in her old neighborhood. Alexander stood beside her at the ribbon-cutting ceremony, watching with pride as she spoke passionately about financial inclusion to the gathered crowd. "None of this would have been possible without the vision and support of our CEO," Emma said, gesturing toward Alexander. "Who taught me that sometimes people are more than they appear to be." Later, as they walked through the new branch together, Alexander marveled at how his life had changed. "You know, I started this whole charade thinking I needed to hide my wealth to find love. I never expected to find my purpose again too." Emma squeezed his hand. "Sometimes we find what we need in the most unexpected places. Like the janitor's closet on the 3rd floor," he teased. "Exactly like that," she laughed, the sound still his favorite in the world. That evening, as they sat on the balcony of what was now their shared penthouse, Alexander pulled a small box from his pocket. Inside wasn't the ostentatious diamond his wealth could afford, but a simple band inlaid with wood from the mop handle he'd used on his first day as a cleaner. "I don't want to pretend anymore," he said softly. "I want to build something real with you, a life, a family, a legacy that matters." Emma's eyes filled with tears as she nodded, words failing her for once. As they embraced under the stars, Alexander realized he'd found something far more valuable than true love. He'd found himself, the man behind the billions, the heart behind the empire, the purpose behind the power. And in finding himself, he'd found everything. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring tales of love and redemption. Remember, sometimes we must lose ourselves to truly be found.